Now we'll move on to Amelia, who will tell us about Penguin's precise experience in this area.
Well, thank you for asking me, and first of all, congratulations to the PPC and the BMS on this union, which, you know, maybe we should make it permanent and put a ring on it. What do you say? So about 9 months ago, we made the decision at Penguin General to merge the marketing and publicity departments, and I've been managing that team since. And I'm going to, everything I say today, I'm saying from my point of view within that division of Penguin. So I'm not sitting here and suggesting that this is something that should be rolled out universally by any means. But for me, previous to the change as a publicity director in a literary division, I had been feeling for some years that there was a rather artificial line being drawn a lot of the time between what was marketing and what was publicity. We're a literary division, so we never had huge marketing budgets, and the amount of straight advertising campaigns that we ran was never very many. But over the last few years, even that was changing. Actually, we were running more digital ad campaigns. We were using more digitally focused agencies. We were doing more online activity with brand partners, this kind of thing. And of course, we were using our own online platforms a whole lot more to engage with our consumers and build up our brand loyalty and talk to customers directly. So along with the classic marketing and PR activity, in the last 5 years, we've also had this huge boom in social media to investigate. And what became apparent quite early on is that although in a digital world, we continue to reach our readers through the traditional media that we choose to advertise in or where we place our editorial content, but we can reach readers directly and in a much more targeted way, in a way that allows them to engage with us. And we need to build up trust, a relationship with our consumers as their taste makers, as it were. There was a piece that was doing the rounds last week, or the week before, by the internet sage, and he's also a Penguin author, Clay Shirky, in which he talked about publishing nowadays is just pushing a button. He said, you know, anyone can publish a book. It's just an app on your iPad. It's just pushing a button. And we all know in this room that there's a lot more to it than that. I mean, even most self-published authors, I think, will admit that a book needs marketing behind it to sell. But putting that to one side, he did make some really interesting points in this piece. And one of these was that since the internet, and particularly since the advent of mobile technology, people are never bored. People used to read books because they were bored, but they're never bored anymore. You know, they're constantly connected and plugged into a whole world of entertainment and information. You know, 3 million are reading The Guardian on their mobile phones. You know, things are changing and readers are changing. People are overloaded with information and entertainment. We have so much at our fingertips that it is genuinely overwhelming. And I think paradoxically what happens in a world where you are overwhelmed with choice, quite often what you're going to do is go for the option which is easiest and which is most attractive. If you're in a restaurant with a really long, complicated menu, half the time it's easier just to say, do you know what, I'll have the steak and chips because I know I like that, I know it'll be good. So, and also what we're seeing, I think, is that the breadth of people's reading is narrowing somewhat. It's all becoming about fewer books. Readers are coalescing around fewer books, whether it's The Help or One Day or Before I Go to Sleep. People are choosing to read books which they know lots of their friends and connections, whether those connections are real or virtual or online or Richard and Judy, those people have already endorsed these choices for them. So what we need to do is bring people to a wider selection of books that they will love. You know, we need to be the steak on the menu. And in a retail environment where we've got less merchandising space all the time, that's where I think we need to be forging an advantage over our competitors. So at Penguin, more and more for us, as well as obviously publishing the best books we can find, this means using our brand, and we're in a very privileged position in that respect, I do understand. We're using our internationally recognised brand to maximise our own channels, the website, Penguin Facebook, Twitter, and these are all expanding and changing in very interesting ways. But what we're also finding as publishers is that, every imprint has its own world of niche communities, just as Claire was talking about, which it can also communicate with directly. And the internet allows you to do this quite forensically. You can find whole niche communities in the click of a mouse. You can set your Facebook ads to a highly specific demographic. And once people have found your books, well, they're then more powerfully networked than ever before to share them with their connections. And then, of course, there is the question, particularly with social media, of how we should be doing this ourselves as individuals within the industry. So to me, this is all really fascinating stuff, by which I mean reaching readers, and I spend a lot of time thinking about it, and where we do it and why we do it, who we do it to. But the question that I don't spend much time thinking about is actually the question which is the title of this seminar: whose job is it? In my department, one of the marketing executives last year programmed the literary strand of the Apple Cart Festival in Victoria Park. One of the publicity managers recently designed the cover of a proof copy. We're working together, publicity and marketing are working together on consumer competitions with fashion brands. We all contribute marketing, publicity, sales and editorial to our new fiction blog, Tumblr blog on the Strand, to the Penguin blog, to the Penguin website, and to Twitter. So, I'm sure that for most people in this room, you're finding the same thing yourselves, and that this is happening organically, and the lines are blurring, and people are chipping in, and doing all this stuff together. But I'm not saying that what we're doing is anything radical, but what I want to do with my department is just want to give people permission to break those boundaries and to ask those questions, and just not to stick to their classic job description, which, may stem from 30 years ago when it was an entirely different world. So let's just work together on what's going to sell the book. Let's devise the campaign together and share the work out, and that may be according to the particular skills of the individuals involved. But I think, these book campaigns need to be conceived of as a whole, as a campaign with a strategic aim, and probably a lot of the time, as with the newspaper, digital first, actually. And it's only by putting all these heads together on a campaign that you reach out to the maximum of potential readers. So it's a time of great experimentation, and I think we've got to be trying lots of different things and analysing them quite carefully to find out what works. And in my experience, in my department, the young people coming into publishing are totally up for this. They don't think in these rigid terms anyway. They all have digital skills. They all use social networking. I think we should listen to them and let them try things out. And where people feel they lack skills in the area, in this area, then that's where we should be training them up. I don't myself feel that there's any point in over-investing massively in any one digital marketing strategy. But, training, I think that is a really valuable investment that you can make in your business, and one that will pay off in the long term. There's a lot more that I would love to say about authors and their place in all of this, but while we're talking about training, I think we should be offering training to our authors in social networking and in building up their online presence, and that's something that we're looking to do a lot more of at Penguin. So just to sum up, in my view, unless you allow everyone in your department to act out their ideas in the digital space without them feeling like they're treading on somebody else's toes, then your marketing and your campaigns will never be as adept as they could be.